Okay, so what do you do when it is your actual exam day? What should you prepare to make sure that you actually have all the necessary things for your exam day? Because really, what you want to focus on is the actual content, but there are a few factors out there that you also need to keep in mind and try and mitigate as much as possible. So today I'm going to cover all of those, and hopefully that helps you. Right, so let's begin with first of all, I'm gonna list the advantages and disadvantages of both uh, taking an exam at a test center or taking it from home. So at a test center, the main advantage is that the kit is set up for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's already there. You don't need to worry about whether your connection is stable enough, or whether your microphone is there or the camera is working, and that, if there's a problem, then it's the test center's fault. It's not completely your fault. The other bit that it's a controlled environment, so like there's not going to be any noise from like the outside or something like that, which is going to be distracted you. Um, so in that way, it's good. So the disadvantages I would definitely say are that it is in an unfamiliar location. So when you actually go there, you you may feel a bit uncomfortable because it's not a place that you're usually at. And the other bit is you have to travel, so you have to think about traffic, whether you're gonna be on time. So you have to make sure you're like half an hour early, and then know exactly where you're going. Um, Now, the advantages of actually working from home is because you kind of feel a little bit more control of your environment. I mean, it is going to be your own kit, so you do feel that the mouse that you're using and the keyboard you're using is something you usually use. So you know that it basically works for yourself. The second one is you don't really have to travel anywhere. You can feel a bit more relaxed and a little bit more prepared. The disadvantages is uncontrolled settings, such as, for example, if like a kid shouts out from the outside, then you worry about that. You worry about the invigilator picking that up because you obviously you have your room, but you can't really control exactly what's going on outside. So yeah, those are the advantages, the disadvantages. Now, the whole reason why I would choose probably working and take an exam from home rather than at a test center is because of the reasons I explained. It's because there's no travel, so you can actually prepare for the exam a little bit more, and you can maybe make yourself a nice coffee, or like go for a quick run, or just do something which will energize you for the next 2 or 3 hours. Then what you also have to consider is that when you're working from home, because it is your own kit, you feel really comfortable, and you just feel really that you're kind of in control of that area, that space that you've set up for home. It is a little bit tough to start it off, to set it up, to make sure that you have that isolated room. But once you do, it's a lot easier taking multitude of exams, because if you're just taking once, then maybe test center might be a shout. But if you're like me and you want to take quite a few exams, definitely taking an exam from home is going to be better. And the other thing which I'm going to suggest as a tip is that when you set up your kit, um, make sure you set it up little bit before. Don't set it up on exam day. The Pearson VUE may send you an email to say check your stuff like at least a day before to make sure everything works. There was one time when I had the microphone not working. I was like, well, why is this not working? And turns out there was a it was a hard button press on on the keyboard, and it's just those little things that you kind of have to watch out for. So just make sure you test it. Make sure it's I suppose your equipment is actually working right. One of the other things I like to do is I like to make sure my microphone is not too sensitive. What I mean is try and test it so, like, if there is a noise like outside of the room, like outside somebody shouts, it's not really that picked up by the microphone. Because the last thing you want is for, while you're taking an exam, is for the invigilator to pop up and to go, "What's that noise?" I have 2 cats, so for myself, when I actually take the exams, I always worry about their meows, and they're gonna, like, interrupt my exam seat. So I always make sure to let the invigilator know that I have 2 cats. So if you hear some meows, that's what it is. And that's the kind of thing I think about. Make sure that your laptop and or computer is all set up. The other thing which I'm going to say is, I found sometimes on Pearson View, it's like you have this bug when I think it's the invigilator pressing start like twice, and they end up launching 2 exam sessions for you, and your mouse is like moving really slowly around. Let them know, and then what happens is just close all your Pearson VUE tabs before starting it up again. That way it helps. It happened to me on a few of the Microsoft exams, so it's not really a fun experience when it actually happens to you. So that's the tip in terms of your settings. So when you actually set up your work for taking the test from home, make sure that there's nothing on your walls, behind you, or in front of you. Make sure like any books or texts or pieces of paper are not really visible, because that way the exam invigilator is just going to ask you to remove that, and again it's going to just lead you to a not focus mindset when you're taking an exam, because the whole point is you need to mitigate everything around you. So when you go there, make sure you do that. Also make sure you have your ID as well with you, whether it's at a test center or working from home, because you will need to take a picture of that when you're doing it. And also when you're doing it from home, it'll ask you for like your mobile number, so you put in your phone, and then you can take a picture of your left, right, and forward and back, and then you can actually see what kind of setting you have. So yeah, those are kind of the tips in terms of those occasions. Since you're taking the exam, if you're taking from home, do just before the exam, like 15 or 20 minutes before, do something which will energize you. So maybe drink a coffee, maybe just go for a little walk or a run, or I don't know, go for a shower. Anything which can kind of up your energy level and up your focus just before you take the exam. Those are basically kind of my tips for you. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please follow me on LinkedIn. Please like, subscribe on this YouTube video, and I'll see you on the next one.